Hey guys, welcome to the Property Panel Podcast. You got myself, Jalen Hardcastle, here with Josh Story, and today we're going to be bringing you the tips to avoid while investing. So before we dive into that, Josh, you want to give a thanks to our title sponsors?
Yeah, I want to give a big shout
Shout out to our title sponsor, Collier Title Company. If you need deed prep, title work, closings, and more, they're located in Brandenburg, E-Town, and Louisville. You can call them at 270-763-6589. And then for this week's sponsor, We Buy Houses. We can offer cash and close in as little as 2 weeks, and you can call us at 270-945-5416 or
270-945-7189.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Josh. And if you or anyone you know would like to be a weekly, monthly, or yearly sponsor, you can give us a call at 270-422-1331. And basically, that's 100 weekly, 300 monthly, and 3,000 yearly. And you're advertised on our intros, outros, as well as intermissions, and all social media platforms. And I think we currently got a giveaway on TikTok for us to reach 100 followers. Going to be giving away some merch with Property Panel Podcast on there, maybe some Cedar Hill mixed into there as well. So go ahead, give us a like, share, subscribe. That helps tremendously. And you want to kind of talk about what other platforms we're on?
Yeah, we're on YouTube, Facebook for as far as video goes, and then audio, well, TikTok as well. But audio, we got Spotify and Apple Music, and we're really trying to capitalize on those platforms here lately and continue to keep busy with the podcast. So if you don't mind, go check us out on all those platforms. Give us a like, give us a follow. We really appreciate it.
Oh, definitely. And I guess before we get into today's topics, tips to avoid investing. Obviously, 4th of July was just yesterday. Had a dang good time. I hope you did as well. I know we had fun in the morning because we was golfing, so it's hard to beat. But today, if you do want to get into something, as this podcast going on, they are going to be opening the Big Bang over Brandenburg. So basically, you go down there, and I think it actually starts, about right now, about 12 or 1 o'clock. And they're going to be doing food vendors, little face paintings and stuff like that. So go celebrate the 4th of July. I'm pretty sure it's free to go view and, go explore. Obviously, some of those extracurriculars might be some price.
Down by the river?
It's down by the river,
Gotcha.
Brandenburg Boat Docks. And they're going to be lighting off fireworks, I think right at dark. So go ahead, go
Good
down
deal.
there, get you some food, get you some good music. I think they'll have some live bands playing down there too. So they've been really revamping Brandenburg up, obviously, with more people coming in. We got to have some more fun things to do. So I think they're doing more community events because that's something that we've lacked in years past. So to see these things popping up more and more often, especially like those social on mains or whatever, where they get all those vendors and all those little people set up, to sell goods, is pretty awesome.
I like those food trucks and the vendors. I mean, they make really good food and they make really good stuff.
They're better in a dang restaurant.
I know.
swear.
They really are.
What's your favorite one around here? We got so many, and it might be a disservice to some to say that we have a favorite because I don't know.
It depends on what I'm feeling,
Exactly.
what kind of food. But
and none of them are really the same. They're all pretty diverse. Ponchos, they do like the
taco
Mexican.
truck.
Yeah,
that's
truck.
my favorite Mexican food truck.
They got a cool setup too. They set up at the golf course like a week or two ago, and with that black truck with that black trailer, it looks really good.
And then I like the locals, but they kind of stay where they're at now.
Yeah. Now they're more of a food truckish. They're localized,
a little in between,
right across from Meat on the Field. They're really good. Have we had them sponsor the show? We're hoping to have them sponsor the show.
Yeah, we should look into that.
I'd like to eat some of their tacos on the show. That'd be nice. But obviously, another good thing that we have coming up in our community is the Meade County Fair. So Meade County Fair is actually one of the biggest and best fairs, county fairs that are offered in Kentucky. So come out and enjoy that, as well as come out and see me and Josh and the whole gang at Cedar Hill Properties. We got a booth up there. We're going to be giving out some wristbands, some keychains, pins, and we'll have a big old sign behind us if you want to get some more information on one of us individually or us as a whole company, our property management company, what have you. We'll have QR codes located behind us at the booth that you'll just be able to scan at your fingertips and go ahead and get moving in whatever direction you would like in real estate.
Yeah, and if you have any questions while you're there about anything in real estate, that's a perfect time to ask, and we can help you out. But yeah, I'm excited for the fair.
I love the fair.
When's that coming up? Is that next week or
2 or 3 weeks? It's the end of July, so I think it's like the 20th through the 28th, something like that. So maybe not the very last week of July, but the last full week of July is when it typically is. I've been seeing some signs out, so we're getting prepared. But yeah, we're actually like I said, getting in all of our goodies that we're going to be giving away while we're there. And we will have a drawing. I'm not sure if it's for a TV again or what. We might be doing something a little bigger and better. Last year we gave a TV away. The year before, I think we gave away a pretty nice Yeti cooler or something like that. So we like to do giveaways. So come by, see us, sign up for the drawing, get your free stuff, chat with us a little bit. Meet the Cedar Hill crew or the Property Panel crew. We're going to be there supporting and giving all the answers to you folks as you walk by.
Yeah, and then tomorrow, come see me at my open house, 7740 Highway 60, starting at noon to 3 p.m.
Noon to 3 p.m. You got it, and that's Eastern time, correct?
Yep, Eastern time.
Awesome. Go see Josh. You doing any refreshments or anything while you're there?
Yeah, we'll have some snacks and some beverages.
Nice. Good beverages, adult beverages?
No, probably just some waters.
That'd be nice. No. But I guess let's get into some tips to avoid investing. Josh, you want to kick it off for us?
Yeah, I guess, really, the money is always made from the purchase. So making sure you're buying the right deal, I think is like the most important part, obviously. Mm-hmm. But, there's a lot of things to look for into what a wrong deal is. Point A would be price. Mm-hmm. Point 2 would probably be the work that needs to be done. But I'm sure you have a little bit more insight into what makes a wrong deal.
Yeah, so obviously, like we're going to get into here a little later in a few different topics, but analyzing the deal as a whole, like you said, that buy price, that's where you're going to really make the monies on those investment properties, whether it's a rental or a flip. Obviously, you want that cash flow, but you need to learn to analyze. A lot of people don't realize that, cost is going up on not only the homes but materials, but also as well as that market's going up. So, the money's still there to be had, but let's learn to analyze those deals a little bit better. Because I think that a lot of people analyze those incorrectly, whereas, like I said, just even the cost of material over the last 3 or 4 years, where, we put everything in a spreadsheet, when we're running numbers, because we have experience. But for someone starting out that might not, you really want to analyze, go get your quotes on your flooring, your paint, go see what appliances cost you and understand the true cost of this material that you're going to be put into this home, because, it builds up to quite a bit of expenses.
Yeah, I think, through a whole process of investing, it's all a numbers game. So if you really sit down and do your research and spend your time, coming up with every, dollar that it's going to cost to fix that and making sure it's as accurate as possible, it's just a good recipe for success. Because if you have it all on paper, I mean, there's obviously differences. You're going to run into some different things, but that's why you kind of give yourself a cushion on investments in case, something were to arise. But being able to tabulate and calculate all your expenses up front, that's going to really set you up for success.
Yeah, and a lot of times people get confused. They want the top of the line finishes in these flip houses, and people are going to get in and put their own stuff into these properties whenever they buy them. And I think it's important that you don't go over budget, because obviously we want to make the most amount of money that we can. And supply cost growth, like I said, is a real thing. So especially if you done one a couple years ago and you're just, a part-time investor, you might not be a full-time investor. Go ahead and go, like I said, to those stores, contact those contractors, get those prices in mind. So that way you have a game plan going into these houses, because you got to move fast on these deals. If it's worth it, it's going to be gone within 24 to 48 hours.
Yeah, and you got to focus on market trends too. And this, can be a ton of different things, time of year, like when you're going to sell, or, maybe there's a saturation of a certain type of property. There's a bunch of different.
And it's kind of like what we're going to be talking about next week. We won't dive too much into it today. But like you said, to those market trends and the time of year on resale, we have a good basis of, what the market does and this time of the year, over the past few years or whatnot. But really, we can't time the market. Like I said, we'll talk about that next week. But we can understand those market trends, and that's why you need a professional like us, because we understand and we have the data in front of us, and we can go back and see, all of it before you and get you a good stat sheet.
Just the experience too on what's worked and what hadn't worked.
Yep.
But another thing that comes to mind on market trends, like 5 years ago or less, RV parks were like the big thing, and then everybody got one now, and so it might not be the best decision right now because there's just so many available.
Yeah, And that's funny that you bring these up because we will be talking about this next week too. And we could have probably put both of these together, but we'd be sitting here for like 4 hours, and this ain't the Joe Rogan podcast, you know. We want to bring you the latest and greatest in the shortest amount of time we can to keep y'all, you know, informed and intrigued. So, but to your point, I think we should say that for next week because that's a big one, especially in our area, because that's a great topic. Because like you said, everyone and their brother wanted one, you know, 5 years ago, and now you see them kind of empty.
It was the same with storage units as well.
Same with storage units, you know, and there can be, like you said, that oversaturation of markets, and I think they go hand in hand, and I think that'd be a good episode that y'all should tune in for next week to see me and Josh kind of dive and break that into it, but. We're getting a little excited because that's such a good subject. But I do want to leave some cookies on the table for us to get full on.
I guess, you know, another thing to keep in mind when you're looking at investments is age of utilities. You know, you want to avoid.
CapEx comes in,
right?
Which is your capital expenditures. I'm not sure if you mentioned that, Josh. But that's actually your cost of repairs. And like you said, that's not just, you know, like we said, when you might not analyze a deal correctly, it's not necessarily what we're saying as far as your cost to replace things. But that's actually your cost of repairs over that, you know, time of the loan. So typically you'd have a 15, 20-year loan on a house, and that's where your CapEx, your cost expenditures come in. I think that's where a lot of people get confused with that CapEx, and they don't actually have that CapEx reserves, which we'll talk about later on in the show. Is where basically you're going to save over in a separate bank account, you know, 30, 40 grand for everything that could go wrong in 15 years. That's kind of what you need to have set aside to be comfortable flipping.
And would that be more so for like rentals or?
That's rentals. A lot of people don't have, but I think even on your flips, you need to have those. And we put in miscellaneous repairs, which obviously ain't going to be 30, 40 grand, but there are times where you could buy a house and you might, you know, we don't get inspections on these a lot of times whenever we're buying them, where a foundation issue might come into play and you got to jack the whole house up. You got to have those capital expenditures at hand, you know, and that's why you do need money to be able to flip. And like we talked about, I think last week, where your business partners, how much risk are they putting in versus how much time they're putting in. Risk, you know, speaks volumes because they could invest that money elsewhere. So to have a good CapEx saved up, you know, is important. Very important.
Yeah. You don't want to get stuck, you know, with running out of money and you got an AC to replace or something, you know.
That don't feel good. I'm pretty sure I've been there and done that, and I don't want to go back. But back to your utilities, like you said, that goes in with the CapEx. What are the typical turnaround time on those utilities that you need those replaced?
15 to 20 years, and that's with it being maintained, you know, because, you know, these utilities could go out in 5 if you're not keeping up with them. But, you know, once you see like a 15 to 20-year-old AC unit, you know, you really got to keep in mind that might need to be replaced, you know, soon. Probably not as efficient as newer ones anyway. So, I mean, your electrical bill might be a little bit higher on those new units.
Which I was, old units. To your point, with my personal house, you know, it was built in, I guess, 2008. So it was only like 14 years old. Like you said, that 15-year mark is coming up on. And it was running fine. You know, I had a little bit of things, so I replaced a few parts on there, kept it maintained to try and get the most out of its life expectancy. And then, you know, this winter when we got hit hard with a few of those cold spells, it just couldn't keep up, and it ended up, I think, freezing itself over. So I had to get me a brand new unit, and like you said, it's so much more self-sufficient, and I couldn't even, you know, I was kind of sick that I had to break out that $6,000 or $7,000, however much it was. But at the same time, I'm saving almost on average about $100 a month right now on my utility bill. So, you know, a full year's a couple grand. So in a few years, it'll pay for itself down the road.
And, you know, that's kind of a tip for just homeowners, you know, along with investors is, you know, keep your stuff maintained. It's going to save you money in the future.
And you won't have to worry about as much as putting that money up for reserves because you're going to be taking care of your stuff and, you know, it's going to last a lot longer. Get the most bang for your buck.
Yeah, and you know, when it rains, it pours. You know, sometimes
we know that all too well.
I mean, it goes both ways too. You know, it can be good things. You know, like
we gotta stay
things
positive.
are rolling and deals are closing, or you know, it could be the other way around where it just seems like everything's kind of falling apart.
No,
and that's the kind of up and down that you'll see in investing and in real estate in general. Is you know, there's valleys and there's mountain tops. So you just got to stay consistent, and stay positive, and you know, that's how you kind of overcome that.
No, I totally agree with you. And in real estate, we always talk about being a roller coaster, and it's probably because when it rains, it pours. When it's really bad, it's really bad. When it's really good, it's really good. But you got to keep on pushing forward and stay positive. And I think that's something that we do really well is always being positive and, always trying to grind, always trying to work because we want to do the best, not only for ourselves, but for our clients because we like that, recognition of a job well done.
Right. Yep. Yeah. I think putting clients first and putting, in these circumstances, putting your clients and your investments first, is really important because you're going to have times where it just seems like it's difficult or you're in a low spot. And so, putting your clients and your investments first, you can kind of keep your head above water and just kind of keep coasting to get through those things. But yeah.
Yeah. So basically, you want to avoid lack of cash. That's the main thing in investing because you're going to have those capital expenditures come up. And like you said, when it rains, it pours. And that's never a good thing, especially if it's pouring quite a bit. But like we said, put money aside for those reserves. Avoid that cash, that lack of cash flow. And be comfortable to reinvest. So you might not be able to flip, after you get your first one done, you might not be able to flip right immediately after that, but keep on continuing to build. You obviously built up to save for that first one, build up for that next one, have those reserves, and maybe use your other house as leverage by the time you have those reserves, so you're even a more comfortable situation to continue investing. Because that's the one thing that is the scariest thing when you're investing in these houses and you have multiple houses at one time and your funds are getting low. And then, of course, like you said, when it rains, it pours. Your AC goes out in one, or an inspection comes back terrible on the other, and you got a bunch of repairs to make. That's, constantly $4 or $5 grand out of your pocket pretty commonly if you got more than a few houses that you're investing in.
Yeah. Another thing to consider, too, is business partners. That's really important. You want to find someone with strengths that complement yours, whether it be, having the capital funds or knowing how to do some of the actual repairs and
well-rounded team
and work. Yeah, you need a well-rounded team, someone who brings something to the table. You want someone that's providing something towards the deal as well as yourself. And there's different expectations for different people. Everybody's different,
and different business relationships. Right. Might be 50-50. And that 50-50 can look differently. Like you said, the risk towards their investment, if someone's putting up more money but they might not be able to be there as much, that still could be a 50-50 partnership where there could be people like me and Josh where we'll put up 50-50, but we'll also do the time 50-50 too. We're, open for anything. And the main thing is getting those numbers and making that money. And whatever that partnership looks like, just make sure it does work for you guys because, like you said, you do got to be well-rounded.
Right, and I'm hoping to, like me as a new investor, just getting started, like I want to be able to, purchase the tools and stuff that I need to be able to do some of this work. So, I don't have like all the proper saws and equipment to do some of the work, but I'd like to get that and learn how to do it.
Yep.
So yeah, we're just starting out, or I'm just starting out and trying to learn, trying to build. So.
And that's why we're bringing you this episode because we've been here, we've done it, and we know what little tips to avoid. Obviously, like you said, I've been where Josh is, and I'm still building my tools and stuff up like that too. I'll go to the job site missing them, and I'll be like, dang, I got another I need to put on the list or something like that, especially when you're doing it with people like Aaron and Travis that got every freaking tool in the playbook. You're like, man, how do you compete with this? You get spoiled, investing with those people. But it is awesome to see, the level that these tools are coming out with now. Like I seen this thing on TikTok the other day where he was holding the jackhammer and he had this back brace on and it like had the string that held the jackhammer and it kept it at max weight, like 30 pounds. And he was literally jackhammering vertical and then like he let go. And even when the battery died, it would just like let it slowly drop.
Oh man!
But, like, dude, he wasn't even having to do nothing, and it was like doing it for him. It was pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
Tools are just coming crazy, and like Aaron's air nailer that he got, it's an electric air nailer. Like, how do you make that much air to?
I know, just. But I mean, just to have all the tools that you need to fix and flip a house. I mean, you're looking at $5,000-$10,000 just for tools.
Right.
So that's something to build up. Like last week or the week or two ago, I was replacing my toilet in my house, and everything was going fine. But then I'd I'd have my ratchet, and then I'd be missing like one of the heads to it. So then I'd have to go find a wrench, and then
probably 10 millimeters.
Yeah. So like a 30-minute job turned into 2 hours, and I'm just like, I need more tools because I'm missing on just a few things, and it really matters.
And like we said earlier, how much risk are your partners taking? Could they invest it elsewhere? And but you also need to learn a relationship like with debt. These new investors do, because it is like, kind of a shock whenever you haven't had much debt, especially if you're starting right out of high school and you don't get to experience much. If you haven't, me personally, I didn't buy a new car or nothing like that. I stayed with my old ride until I built up enough to afford me something. But I didn't really have a good relationship with debt starting out, so I'm surprised that I was able to progress as quickly as I have. But also, I do got a good team around me, and that's very important too. Like you said, those business partners, those working relations. If you don't know something, or if I don't know something, or we're being taught all the time in every aspect of our profession, and that's what makes it so much more enjoyable than anything else I can think of.
And as far as debt goes, you can read this in Rich Dad Poor Dad, but it talks about good debt and bad debt. So, it may seem like, I'm sure if you went to just some regular Joe Schmo or maybe a friend that's not in the business and told them how much debt you had, they'd be like, "Oh my gosh."
Yeah.
But
when I go and buy a car, they're like, "Holy hell!"
But that's good debt, If
and
you're getting assets,
paid off debt too. Like you said, you want that relationship with debt because more banks are going to be willing to loan you that stuff because they're like, "Oh, this man pay his debt off." And,
right.
Like you said, not even just. Yeah, like if you just told Joe Schmo, but going and even buying vehicles, especially since we're on 1099s, and they're like, how you show them how much you make, and it's basically self-made, and then you also have that much debt, and it counts against you too. But like you said, you got that good debt, and anymore, and it's a scary place that our world's going to, that debt's more important than actual cash.
Yeah, we live in a debt base. We live in a debt base.
That hurts me. It hurts my soul.
Yeah.
It's
all debt.
In a different time.
I know.
It'd be nice.
But I mean, that's kind of how it goes, and you have to really, unless you just win the lottery or you're making good money, you do have to go in debt to build investments. I mean, that's just part of it.
Yeah, and another thing that I think people need to avoid is getting stuck and not taking action. We've probably been, a candidate of this in our own lives a couple times, maybe in different areas, but in anything, just getting that stuck and getting over that wall. Once you slow down, it just feels like that barrier is so much harder to get over. So I just, like we said, that positive mindset. I think that everyone can do so much better if they just held a positive mindset.
Right. I mean, I've heard so many people talk about how they want to get into investing or how they want to do a flip or whatever.
Or even just working out for me.
Or just working out.
Or all the time. I'm like, I want to work out. I get stuck and I don't get over that hump and now it seems so big from where I used to work out every day, and it's just crazy, But that's one thing that I need to work on, just like, these investors can work on in their everyday lives.
Right. What about where to invest?
So that's actually a good thing. We will kind of talk about that next week too. There's not a bad market, even though there might be, like you said, oversaturation in different markets and stuff. There's still ways to stand out against the competition, because truly everyone's like, where's the best market? What's the best market? When's the best market? There's not one. There truly isn't. We got really spoiled a few years ago when we had those 2-3% interest rates, and if there was ever a great market or best market, that would be it. And I don't think we'll ever see nothing like that again. And we constantly have to adapt and change. So just like we said, just not getting stuck and taking action, and then obviously just invest where you can. If the money's makes right, if the analyst makes sense, jump after it.
You can really find your place in every kind of market, and that's why every market can be good. I mean, you just have to find your lane and find what works. There's 100 ways to do it, and just finding the one that works in that area. Like you said, there's not really the best market. It's really everywhere, and how you make it work. So.
Well, you got anything else to add to, the few tips that we've been given so far?
Not right now.
Well, let's give a thanks to our title sponsors, and then let's move on to this short intermission, and let's bring it back to them.
Big shout out to our title sponsors for today's episode, Collier Title Company.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Property Panel Podcast. You got myself, Jalen Hardcastle, here with Josh Story, and I guess we're briefing you over some topics on tips to avoid while investing. And we're going to continue on that, as well as just new people in general getting into sales or anything like that. Just having a good mindset is very important to have. So, would you like to kick off the second half of the show?
Yeah, I think in any market or any business, setting goals, even daily goals, weekly goals, monthly goals, and setting goals that are obtainable, relative to your experience. You don't want to keep setting goals that are like moonshots. Like that's fine for like a life goal or something, but you want to be able to reach your goals and then set another one. You don't want to just continuously not hit your goal because they're so high. So I think, you set your goals relative to your experience. You set daily goals, weekly goals, monthly goals, and yearly goals, and that really kind of puts you on a right track.
Yeah, because I feel like if you have those achievable goals, it kind of puts you in analysis paralysis because you're always constantly analyzing like what you can do or why things aren't working out. When, like you said, if you get obviously you want like a 5-year goal, and then you break those down into goals with plans. That way it kind of helps you not get bogged down. And then it continues to increase your motivation and discipline because you're like, yes, I'm checking off, all these little boxes that are continuously stair-stepping me up to the top,
And have realistic expectations. I think a good example is if you're wanting to get your real estate license, that's a goal. But once you start your course, make your goal, I want to get 5% done a day or whatever it is. So you have the big goal, which could take a few months, and then you have the goals in between that get you there. Like I wanted, my first flip. So there's goals to get to that point. You got to work your way up.
Exactly.
You can't just be, I want to flip and then hope for the best. Yeah.
We ain't Cosmo and Wanda in here,
So yeah, you setting goals and breaking them down with, good plans on how to get to those goals is, how you stay in it. Because you'll get bogged down otherwise because there's a big difference between motivation and discipline. Motivation is temporary. Motivation can come out of 100 different things, but discipline is something that you can bring upon yourself and that you can have control over. Because there's days you might not want to get out of bed and go work or chase that goal, but that's where discipline comes in, and you buckle down and get it done either way. But yeah, I think that's a big part of reaching goals.
Oh, that's the biggest part, and I know we're like a broken record talking about positivity, but go ahead, read The Secret or read the Bible, whatever your thing is. Both are great things to get you on that positive outlook in life, and I suggest reading them both. You can never go wrong with God, and you can never go wrong with being positive. So I believe that's the two things to my success. Number one, for sure. I'm in real estate, and in everything I do, I feel like I'm a pretty well-rounded person. I try to do the best I can, and I do pretty good at what I try to do. But obviously there's always that next goal, like you said, and I think personally you need to, like you said, start with a 5-year goal. Where do I want to be at 5 years, and then constantly reevaluate, and then obviously have you a yearly goal. What do you want to do this year? Put you a vision board out there. Maybe just put some pictures on there of what you're hoping to be, maybe a new house, new car, like you said, first flip, what it might be, and then break that year goal down into month goals, and then like, what can I do this 30 days? And then what can I do this week, and what can I do today to fix this, to get me to where I want to be in 5 years? And then, like you said, you keep on checking off those boxes, and that discipline constantly builds up, and that motivation does too, because you know where you can go if you really put in the work.
And what kind of advice would you give someone who, that all sounds fine and dandy, but they don't know what their goals would be? Like, how do you find those goals? Or how do you just not get stuck and not doing anything? I
would see what interests you. And a lot of people use this as an excuse. So that's another thing, excuses. Just no excuses. There should not be none. And I used to make excuses out the wazoo, and I still do. But I've really been trying to be like, hey, it's on me. This is why I don't want to do something, or, whatever it may be.
Right.
But I think excuses are big. But What did you ask me?
Well, it's like, if you're wanting to find goal, like,
the goals.
Say you don't know if you want to do,
know where to start.
You kind of want to do real estate, but you don't know if it's for you. You kind of want
to go
to
see who is working for you. Obviously, go see someone that's succeeding in that area and let them be your mentor. And see if that's for you, because it might not be after you do it for a few days. I know a couple people have come done real estate, and they're like, y'all made it look cool, but it's not to some people, but I personally do, and Josh, I think, does too. Enjoys his job.
Oh yeah, I love it.
It's something new every day. We come across, exciting people in all walks of life, in every shape, form, size,
Right.
what have you. All characters. I would
Yeah.
love to just be a fly on the wall sometimes in some of the conversations and just record, because I've had some funny moments showing some houses that I never in my life expect.
Yeah, it's a great job, and I think a lot of people think they want to be in real estate, and they kind of realize that working for yourself is great, but you're pretty much going to be working more than you would.
Yeah, it's a 24/7, 365 kind of job. We work on holidays; it don't matter. Like we said, it was July 4th, but we still closing deals. We's out there,
Right.
In between our golf game and our 4th of July party, we's probably showing houses
Making
or
phone
writing
calls,
contracts, right?
answering
Making
texts,
calls, what have you. And then kind of like you said, if you don't know what you want to get into, and then also don't listen to these headlines, because people are like getting scared. They'll read on Facebook like, "Don't buy in 2024." Like, why would you say that? Because it wasn't as good as 2020. Well, you might not ever see that again, and I promise 2024 is going to be better than 2025. But a lot of times that headline's just to like scare you or grab your attention. A lot of people don't read the full article, so read the full article and then do your own research or talk to a professional.
I mean, it's like that in everything. Real estate, politics. It's pretty much all doom and gloom, and the reason that is, I think, is it just gets more clicks. It gets more attention. They're a business just like anything else, which kind of...
Can y'all teach us how to do this clickbait? We need that.
We need to work on that. But yeah, it's a lot of doom and gloom, and just like, you really shouldn't be paying attention too much to politics. I mean, obviously, it just gets in your head, and so I think the same thing, with headlines, really do your own research or talk to somebody that's already involved and get, their side of the story.
So, like, since the market crashed in 2008, it got good again, obviously. And then 2014, it was a little bit hairy, and people thought for the last 10 years, the market's going to crash. The market's going to crash. We ended up having the best market of our lives in 2020, 2021. And then, obviously now it's more tougher because everything caught up with it. But, it scared people because it caught up. They got spoiled, and these people, especially these generations that we've talked about personally, behind the scenes of this podcast, don't understand, and they don't work. They are not motivated and disciplined. And like you said, that motivation and discipline is what gets people to the top. It's what drives people. And, it definitely ain't taught. It's something you just got to do, and you can try and, bump it into someone's brain, and until they actually have to do it and there's a reason behind their meaning, they're not going to.
Right. And
we've seen that firsthand.
And discipline, that can come in so many different forms. It doesn't have to be, you're trying to be the best investor or real estate agent. Maybe you're trying to be the best athlete or start your own business, or just find something and really work towards it.
Because your 3, 6, 9, 12 hours a week ain't cutting it. I can tell you that now.
Yeah. And if you don't know what you want to do, truly, I still think you just pick one and you just go for it and keep yourself busy at it. And, that'll teach you a lot of things in itself, but you can always switch. I promise
you go to the best of any, like you said, profession that you want, whether it's an athlete, realtor, whatever, the best of what they want to do. Ask them how many hours a day they put in. It's going to be more than half the people that wish it put in a week, in one single day. And it's embarrassing to them to think that they're doing something. They're doing a disservice to themselves and, their business if they're a part of one.
Right. And I think, a big problem is you go on social media and, only the best of people's lives is posted, and you see some dude making stupid YouTube videos and are worth $10 million, and you're like, why can't I?
Yeah.
Or why doesn't that happen?
And you can try doing that stuff, but also like if, when we started out in real estate, we probably had to have a little part-time job. So like you might have to do other things other than what you really want. And if you really want that thing, like most of those people that ended up breaking through on YouTube or something had a different kind of job, but the extra 8-10 hours a day they had were strictly put in that. So they was probably putting in 20 hours a day between the two jobs just to make it work. And now they make it seem glamorous. They put in that work, they put in that time and that effort. And if you do, you will succeed too.
Yeah. I mean, you just got to have that mindset that you're going to succeed. Like there's nothing that can slow you down, and there's nothing that can get in your way. And I think that's, kind of a key point. And also setting your expectations correctly. You don't want to, expect it soon. You got to be patient.
And networking is big too. I think that people are just thinking it's going to be just handed over to them on a silver platter. But I think that when people get out there and just talk, like just make yourself seen, make yourself visible. I know I eat out a lot, but excuse me, I think that, as silly as it sounds, just eating out has drummed me up a lot of business. I'll see a bunch of people out, they'll ask me how I'm doing. I'll tell them I just closed one this week or something. They're like, well, we see him and we hear him moving weight and we see him in person. And in person, you're going to get so much more results than a phone call or a mailer.
Right.
Still do that stuff, because you're going to miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
You got to take all
but
the
at
shots.
the end of the day, you got to take them all. And statistically, if I see someone in person and we're talking about real estate, I'm going to get that deal more often than whenever, we're just on a phone call.
You got to be hustling, you got to be out networking and, when you're at those restaurants, maybe even drop your business cards off every time. And
even if it's in the bathroom.
Doing the mailers in the bath, just you've got to put your stuff out there everywhere you go. And I think, you leave a trail because, that business card might only work 1 out of 100 times. But if you do it 100 times, there you go.
Someone sees it, that's just repetition in their brain too. Imagine like, me and Josh, we'll go out to like dinners and stuff like that, and we'll have little competitions like putting our business cards in places, like who's gonna call us first, And I remember this one time I just put it in the bathroom being silly. We probably had a few brews in us, and as soon as I got out to the car, I got a call, and he was like, "That was a smart little area right there, bud." He's like, and it was a Mexican restaurant. He talked about how many construction workers and people, and it was a Louisville one, went up there, and we ended up really hitting it off, and it just small stuff like that goes a long way, and I really think just seeing your name, that's why I post a lot on social media, and that's why I just constantly am trying to find ways to get my name out there, even like the golf scramble that we're going to be hosting, heads up in November for Cedar Hill Properties over at Doe Valley. That's just to get our name out there. It's all going to charity. Every dollar that's made, all proceeds are going to charity. And I just think that's really something cool that we can do, but also as well as get our name out there, as well as network and mingle, because we've been golfing for about a year now pretty heavily, and we meet so many people out there.
It's a good time. A good time to have fun and a good time to network. And it's going to be for charity, so that's just like icing on the cake. Overall, I think it's going to be great. We got to get it fully booked out, and 18 total teams, 4-person a team. Best ball scramble. You'll be able to buy 2 mollies for $5 each, and then best score wins a trophy only event. But we actually got Blue Moon Mercantile making the trophies. Yeah, we're gonna have trophies. And if you're interested in entering, just call the office 270-422-1331. Just ask about the golf scramble, and we'll get you signed up. Teams of 4, like you said. We have 18 teams.
18 total. We got, I think, 4 or 5 teams signed up already. Okay. So
yeah, we got plenty of time. So but go ahead and call and get signed up early.
What is it? 4 months left. So basically 4 months till tee off. So let's get ready.
I need to get a lot better.
Anything else you want to mention before we tune off? Thank the sponsors and thank everyone for watching. Before we do thank those sponsors, go ahead, give us a like, a share, subscribe.
Yep, and check us out at the fair at the end of this month.
Yep.
Stop by our booth and get some free stuff. But other than that, I want to thank our title sponsors, Collier Title Company. If you need deed prep, title work, closings, and more, they're located in Brandenburg, E-Town, and Louisville. Five, 4, 3, 2.